Hey, welcome into Sports Bet Betting Insight today. Pauly and Teddy, Tuesday, October 4th. Big game breakdown, the play-in game tonight, National League. Game 1, Sale against Verlander. And we'll also get to Louisville and NC State, a great Thursday in the world of sports. All that straight ahead. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books, not much to go over. We'll get to line moves in the NFL in a second. Severino had nothing, no command, couldn't locate, got one out. It became a bullpen game. Girardi needed 26 outs from the pen, and 3-0 Twins. Santana couldn't even hold it for an inning. 8-4 Yankees, play of the day winner on the run line. The Twins tie the record, 13 straight playoff losses.
Yeah, and they had a 3-0 lead. You know, in running, it was a real conundrum for the bookmakers because Yankees, minus 250 chalk in that ballgame. They're down 3-0 in the middle of the first. What do you make that number? You know, the bookmakers didn't go nuts. I thought they showed some real savvy with that number. Only made the Twins minus 180 after the first half inning. 10.5 was the new total in that contest. Obviously, with the Yankees coming back to tie it in the bottom of the first, that line didn't last for long. But the in-running price I thought was very interesting last night. And certainly, we talked about Santana and the issues he might have as a fly ball guy in the Bronx. It was not a good place for the fly ball guy in the Bronx. The Yankees' bats went nuts as they rallied back from that early 3-0 deficit.
See what happens Thursday for Game 1, what Girardi decides to do for a starter. And he said Robertson and Green likely unavailable for Game 1 because they had used so many guys out of the pen. Early week line moves in the NFL. Last week it went 4-1. The loser was the Bears. But you saw early money for the Bears, the Saints, Rams, Steelers, and Giants. 4 of the 5 got there. And this week, you're seeing New England money as the Patriots are dynamite off a loss, especially ATS, a 20-3 run ATS off a loss, already 1-0 this year. Some Jets money on the road. Cleveland is 2-29 straight up in their last 31. This is interesting. Carolina money against Detroit. So what? They moved the ball against New England. Everyone's done that. And some KC money Sunday night against the Texans, who look terrific against the Titans.
Yeah, so much to talk about here, but let's do a little humble brag first, because the goal of SportsBet is to give you guys good information. And these NFL early week line movers have been really good information so far this season. 4-1 last week. You showed the graphic up there. The only loser was the Bears on Thursday night. On Sunday was nothing but winners: Saints, Rams, Steelers, and Giants. But not just 4-1 last week. It was 4-1 the week before, 3-1 the week before that, 2-1 the first week of the season. That's 13-4, 76% ATS. Just blindly betting this chart that we're giving you, which of course sucks because I like Houston on Sunday night. But let's take a look at what's going on this week. You talked about the Patriots coming off a loss, and that's almost an automatic bet. Whatever New England's defensive statistics look like, and we outlined them pretty clearly on yesterday's show. You can always go back in the archives and take a look, and we'll retweet out the clip for our Patriots-Bucks preview over the course of the next 24 hours between now and kickoff. But despite New England's defensive struggles, not a whole lot of market support for betting against New England off a loss. They've been, as you mentioned, Pauly, insane in this role. And what about the Jets, man? The Jets have the chance to go 3-2. They could be in a tie for first place. They could be a half win away from cashing over bets for their backers. You know, the markets are saying the Browns can't be favored over anyone. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. The Cleveland Browns have sunk to dead last in my latest NFL Power Rating.
You push already. It was a 3 was available in Las Vegas on the Jets if they can win that game on Sunday. Is a significant move on that. College.
Yeah. Well, let me just talk about Carolina, Detroit for just a minute, because it's important to understand why this line is moved. And it's real simple. There's only one thing. It's not about Carolina got healthy. I mean, there's certainly some semblance that Carolina got healthy against New England. But this line movement, it moved off the 3. It took a ton of money to move this line on Carolina. All the Panthers' money is coming. It has everything to do with turnovers and not that much to do with anything else. Detroit, for the season, +9 turnover margin. They only turned the ball over twice in 4 games. And they've defense has turned the ball over or created 11 turnovers. They're +9 in 3 different games. They've been +3. And obviously the markets are saying that's not sustainable. Meanwhile, Carolina's -5 in turnovers. for the season. So with one team +9, the other team -5, the markets are saying, well, maybe the Lions aren't quite as good as their records and stats might show. Maybe Carolina's a little better than their record and stats might show. Hence, all of that Panthers money. It's largely turnover differential related.
College football now, a game we'll talk to in a second. Early money showing for Louisville at NC State. North Carolina money, if you can believe it, against Notre Dame. Virginia taking money against Duke. Sparty, that's surprising because O'Korn's probably better than Spate, and O'Korn will get the start at quarterback for Michigan. Michigan's at home. Georgia freight train rolls on. They're up to 17.5 at Vandy. TCU taking money at home to West Virginia. That's a big number, 13.5. And Missouri against Kentucky, which surprises me because Missouri can't stop anybody right now.
Yeah, sure. And each of these games is going to have their own little rationale behind the moves. All right, the money has come for Louisville. The market's like Louisville. Louisville destroyed this team last year. We'll talk about this game in just a few minutes. North Carolina money against Notre Dame. Well, Notre Dame quarterback Wimbush, questionable this week. It's not like the markets are excited about the Tar Heels, but they're worried about the Irish at the QB position. Virginia coming off a bye. We talked about Virginia. We talked about them in the game when they went to Boise and talked about how that young quarterback played really bad week 1, really good week 2, and now he played really good again against Boise. And Virginia coming off the bye. The market's like them over a Duke team that got physically manhandled by Miami last week. What's the money for Sparty? Well, the money's been coming against the Wolverines almost every week. The money's coming against Michigan. The markets, I mean, I've heard people saying that it's O'Korn versus Spate. This much I know. O'Korn is going to take more shots than Spate. Spate's a dink and dunker. O'Korn's a guy who's going to throw the ball up and give his receivers a chance to make plays. The markets may not like that aggressive style against Michigan State's defense. And that's at least part of the reason why we've seen some Sparty money. And Georgia, I mean, this Georgia bandwagon is just, we talked about the Oklahoma State bandwagon early. And the Cowboys taking money. Here's Georgia. That Georgia bandwagon is strong right now. We've seen money for Georgia just about every week. Heavy money for the Bulldogs against a Vandy team that's likely to struggle to score against them on Saturday.
Up next, big game breakdown. Louisville and NC State in the play-in game tonight in the National League on SportsBit. Betting insight today on SBRpicks.com.
Go to SBRodds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.
Back on SportsBit, betting insight today. Time for big game breakdown. Always sponsored and powered by Bet Online. Check out the bonus page at sportsbookreview.com for the latest and best offers to open a new account today. Thursday night, Louisville is 3.5. Bet Online number at NC State, 67 the total. NC State ranked for the first time since 2010. Dino Babers at Syracuse impressed. Before LSU lost to Troy, he said, those guys aren't your average Joes. I told people I thought they were better than LSU, and right now they're better than LSU. He said that before LSU lost to Troy later in the night. NC State has the experience and athletes on defense to be able to check Lamar Jackson, you would think. They have some talent here. And Jackson struggled against Clemson like a lot of other teams are going to do the entire season. Interesting game here, Teddy. Surprised Louisville's the road favorite.
No, I'm not surprised at all that Louisville's a road favorite. From a power rating standpoint, you can understand why. In fact, from a strict power rating standpoint, that's why at least some of the money has come on Louisville. They're power rated a good notch or two higher than NC State in just about every ratings that I've seen, including my own. But certainly there's hope for that NC State defense. Remember, they use a 4-2-5 base defense. And all 6 up front, the 4 defensive linemen, the 2 linebackers, as well as 2 of the starters in the secondary, they're all seniors. So we're talking about 8 senior starters for this squad. A handful of these guys are going to go in the NFL draft. So it's a talented trio of seniors for that NC State defense. But, 6 of those starters, all the defensive linemen and linebackers started last year, and it didn't matter. They had no chance whatsoever shutting down Jackson. They lost 54-13. Jackson had 431 yards of total offense. He threw for 3 touchdowns. He ran for another. But even the 54-13 doesn't do justice to how bad the beating was last year. It was 44-0 at halftime. So the question, was it a bad matchup? Or was the NC State defense just gassed? Because remember, they had lost. They took Clemson to overtime the previous week last year. They were on the field for 90 plays. Maybe they were just tired against Louisville, and this defense has a chance of doing a whole lot better this time around compared to last time.
Let's see if it's a problem again. The defense was on the field for 78 plays in the Syracuse game. Louisville didn't have to work up a sweat against Murray State. They're on the field for only 43 plays, and the starters were out early. Doran and NC State finally got the signature win at Florida State after opening 0-11 against Clemson, Florida State, and Louisville since taking the job. And Louisville dangerous. Knew about Jackson, but how about the wide receivers as we throw up this graphic? 4 guys. Look at the yards per catch. 3 guys above 17, and Dawkins is at 13.2. So they certainly have some wide receiver talent there. It's hard to deal with Teddy's defense because you game plan for Jackson. There's 4 guys that can beat you catching the ball.
And that, the best teams in college football, the offenses that are proving to be really hard to stop, are the offenses that have all kinds of weapons at wideout. So it's not just a quarterback who can make plays with his arm and with his feet, but he's got multiple weapons. They spread the field. The quarterback can run. He can make big plays. It's a problem for any defense. Now, Clemson, their defensive line is so strong they're able to blow up the line of scrimmage and contain Lamar Jackson. Don't know if NC State's defensive line is going to be quite strong enough to have that same level of effect. It's worth noting, Pauly, as we are talking, there is money coming in on the under, and that's sharp money coming in on the under. That 67 that we posted on Louisville for the total for this game, now down to 66 at betonline.ag.
All right, game number 2. Play-in game tonight. Rockies and the Diamondbacks, 5 o'clock Pacific. Gray against Greinke. Arizona's 165, 8.5 the total. Another great story like the Twins. Arizona lost 93 games last year. Here they are in the postseason, 52-29 at home, second best record and number 1 in home profitability against a top 10 road team as well. Colorado was good on the road. Greinke was the key. 13-1 at home. They only lost against the Dodgers when it was 2-1 in the 7th inning. 17-7 with a 3.20 ERA. He did struggle in his last 2 starts, 8 innings, 10 runs, and 4 home runs. Lovello not worried, though. Quote, he's been everything we needed all year. I don't think that's going to change in one game. I know he's going to be ready for Wednesday. Strange that he had 5 starts against Colorado this year, but this whole rotation's been terrific as they were number 3 in the National League in ERA.
Sure, but of course, all that changed as we saw last night. Once the switch flips to the postseason, you start to take some of these regular season stats with a little bit of the grain of salt. Now, Greinke's certainly a veteran. He's not like Severino, who's likely to have incredible nerves in the first inning. But let's not sell this Rockies team short. You talked about how Arizona's number 1 in home profitability this season. Colorado's number 6 in road profitability this season. They had a winning record on the highway, and they had some success against Greinke during the regular season. Now, Greinke, what do you have? 17-7, 3.20, and then he got lit up the last couple of weeks. Novello says he's not worried. He's not the only guy that he's got to worry about on his squad. What about Paul Goldschmidt, MVP candidate for most of the season? Well, he ended on an 0-for-17 slump. He missed 5 games in September with elbow inflammation. And you wonder if that's still an issue for him. But Tony Novello's not worried again. Quote, I think it's a very minimal concern to me. I think he would share with us if he had issues with it. In all my conversation with him, he's never brought it up the past 3 weeks.
You have Gray going for Colorado, which maybe some time on the DL helped him stay fresh, especially down the stretch, because he was 10-4 with a 3.67. But the last 5 starts, 4-0 with a 2.10, 33 strikeouts, 4 walks. The fielding, independent pitching, almost a half a run better than the ERA and nearly a full run better over 319 innings in his career, 3.46 versus 4.40. Is he ready for the big stage and the pressure? The pitching coach Foster said, I think the innings and experience gain you can't purchase. You have to live them. He's had some big moments during this year already, and I've seen him make some big pitches at big times. I've seen him add to that belief and that trust in himself. And there'll be some moments in the wild card game where he's going to have to draw on that. This certainly helps too. It's a good lineup, but finally, they did this for much of the season with Cargo having a bad year. He came on late and had some success with the bat too. So another stick you got to worry about as well. You got to lay the price, but it's hard to go against a guy who's 13-1 at home and the only loss to the best team in baseball.
Well, I mean, the one that Greinke lost, he didn't suffer the loss, but his team took the loss against Colorado. That was a bullpen game in September. So I know the 1-loss record at home is pretty gaudy. I worry about Zach Greinke right now. He did not pitch his best baseball down the stretch. And when you're going against a Rockies team, I like Bud Black a lot. Colorado's a team that believes. I would not sell them short in tonight's action.
One more. We'll get to the Red Sox and the Astros. Game 1, Thursday afternoon. Doesn't get any better than Sale against Verlander. We'll get to that and the play of the day on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SBR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.
Back on SportsBit, Betting Insight today, Pauly and Teddy. Big game breakdown rolls on. Thursday afternoon, 1 o'clock Pacific, Game 1. Red Sox and the Astros, Sale against Verlander. The Astros are $1.15, 7 the total. Verlander was dynamite since coming over from Detroit in the trade. A 1.06 ERA in 5 starts and a 1.95 in 15 starts since the break. Maybe playoff experience was a factor. We'll get to Hinch in a second. Verlander, 16 career playoff starts with a 3.39 ERA over 98 innings. This really rejuvenated the club, the trade, and got the mojo back. Remember, Keuchel and others were complaining that they didn't do anything at the deadline other than get Liriano. They make the move for Verlander. They take off, and this is going to be a tough assignment for Sale as their bats have been terrific.
Sure. And you look at the quote from A.J. Hinch talking about the success that Justin Verlander has had, talking about a proven postseason performer. Again, 16 career playoff starts with a 3.39 ERA over 98 innings of work throughout his postseason career. Hinch, I didn't have a lot of stress about it. Oh, he was talking about why he went with Verlander over Keuchel for Game 1. Quote, I didn't have a lot of stress about it other than we had to pick an order. Verlander has pitched extraordinarily well since he got here. The 5 starts we've seen have been exceptional. Dallas has pitched very well recently as well, and obviously has a long history here. So for us, matching up, we decided to go Game 1, Verlander, Game 2, Keuchel, which leaves open the option at the back end to do whatever we want if there ends up being a Game 5. It wasn't that stressful, but I just needed to make a decision. So Hinch went with the veteran. I don't disagree with that. Verlander up against Sale makes a lot of sense to me, especially given this type of season that Chris Sale has had.
Jesus, fingers crossed for Pomerantz. This is a huge game. Fingers crossed for Pomerantz in Game 2, and then it might be Pfister or Porcello in Game 3. Good luck there. Now, Sale had a great year, but it fell apart late and probably cost him the Cy Young. I think it was fatigue. Every time he looked up, he had 110 pitches. First 24 starts, 14-4 with a 2.51. Last 8 starts, 3-4 with a 4.30 ERA, and he was giving up the long ball. So I think he wore down, Teddy. He had so many bad starts down the stretch because they were using him so much. He was out there throwing almost 100 pitches in every start.
Well, this has happened to Chris Sale before. Look at this. This is a great graphic. Take a look at this one. This is Chris Sale's career splits by month. All right. So, hey, he's great early. He's great in March, April, May, June, July. Starts to wear down in August. And by September, oh, no. Not as good long term. These are career numbers. The August and September numbers just get worse and worse and worse. So you wonder, okay, this is what happened this year. His last 8 starts, he got lit up. I mean, he wasn't awful. He had a handful of good starts during that span, but it wasn't the everyday Chris Sale shut him down kind of performances. Is it a playoff hunt pressure? Is it just wearing down? Sale, quote, I'm still doing what I can out there. Just sometimes it doesn't work out. You can't have a good day at work every day. Unfortunately, what I do is amplified because we're here and we're in the thick of it. Yeah, well, you're in the thick of it right now. Here in the postseason. The Astros didn't see him this season, but the late season home runs that Sale's been allowing, that's a problem. Houston, number 2 in MLB, 238 dingers. Only the Yankees hit more home runs during the regular season. And we're talking about a guy who was minus 150 or higher, Chris Sale. In 30 of his 32 starts, Pauly, 30 times he's minus 150 or higher. He was pick 'em basically in the other 2 games. One of those was a 2-1 loss in Detroit against Justin Verlander, who shut down the Red Sox that day. But this is the first time all year that Chris Sale has been an underdog on any field against any opponent.
Bullpen edge, I don't think some people might think it's an edge for the Red Sox, but not the case. A lot of people have confidence in that Houston pen. You look at the battle of the pens with this graphic. Now, the ERA it's at 3.15 compared to 4.27. But you look at the FIP and the XFIP, very close, 3.53, 3.84, and a 3.77 compared to 3.69. So Addison Reed, these kind of guys, I don't know if you have a lot of confidence in them, and it's not. I think it's close there. But I would expect these starters to go deep in the game, which leads us to betting number 936. The Astros minus $1.15. You saw the numbers on Verlander. He's been dynamite since coming over in the trade. And Sale looks like he's running out of gas as well. And that you can't mess with that Astros lineup. They can bury you. And they had a lot of success in that series early on at Fenway. Let's go with the Astros in game one, $1.15 at home, betting number 936. Thursday, you know what it is, college football. Run down the marquee games in college and the marquee games in the NFL schedule on Friday, and we'll recap everything that happens in the baseball playoffs and college as well on SportsBit. Betting that site today on SBRPicks.com.